Hey everyone, James Birchall from Business Fusion Marketing, and in today's video I wanted to talk to you about something we call the Engagement Matrix. And I'm also going to talk to you about the two common enemies. The Engagement Matrix really underpins why we create content. It's very easy to look at the tactical creation of certain things, and definitely we'll be talking about that more in the further training. But often I'll get asked to people, how do I do this, how do I do that? And that's great, happy to explain a lot of it. But the real question you need to be asking yourself before you do anything is, why am I doing stuff? And one of the ways that we look at why are we doing anything, and for instance, why are we creating this piece of content, why are we creating that, is usually we take it back to fundamentals. When we're working with a client, we will go back and say, okay, what are we trying to achieve? Where does this particular piece of content fit in the buying process? I think we're unusual in that regard. We don't just sort of sit there and say, yeah, sure, you want us to create this or write that, then we sit there and we do it. We'll often turn around and say, well, that's great, but why are we creating it? How does that fit into the overall engagement matrix? And the reason we call it the engagement matrix is because it ties back to three things that we are always looking at. And those are the three stages and states of the buying process. And the first one is awareness. If nobody knows you exist or don't know you exist, then it doesn't matter what you do or say, does it really? The second one is where they're evaluating you. In other words, they found you and they're now comparing your statements, your content, your websites, your ads, your messages, your radio, your TV, all of it. They're sort of evaluating all of it simultaneously. And finally, if you pass the evaluation or the review and compare, then you will get through to what we call the action stage, which is where they finally decide they're actually going to buy, patronize, or otherwise give you something. Money, time, attention, I don't know. One of the really useful resources. What makes it interesting, though, is that each of these particular stages and states of mind, there are various things actually happening inside the mind of the prospect. Usually, the one that we most concern ourselves with is the generation of trust. Without trust, really, there's going to be no action. Okay? If they don't trust you, doesn't matter what you're doing, they're not going to sort of give you money, give you attention, and so forth. Beneath this video, there is something called the SFF matrix. That would be SFF. Internally, we developed a system a while ago called the Social Fusion Formula. The Social Fusion Formula is our internal process code name, a lab that we use to sort of manage how we handle a lot of these projects for clients, the way we look at where the content fits. And if you download the PDF beneath and take a look at it, it's a single page. It will show you a grid, and on that grid it will show you stages and states. It will also show you the various channels that you might want to look at. That is key. I'm going to get into it here, but you can see it in the video. Sorry, you can see it in the download. But what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to look down the presentation slide, and what you'll see is Twitter and YouTube and email and video and Facebook. And each one of those channels tends to be predisposed to certain kinds of content. And you'll be able to cross-reference it to see when in the buying process, or the engagement arc, as we often call it, you should use it. So, for instance, I'll give you a quick tip. When somebody's looking for general awareness, they have a problem or they're looking for a solution to something, the kind of content often gets really well received in that arena is how-to. When somebody is in the evaluation area and they're looking for content to help them evaluate and judge you, the kind of content that happens to be useful in there, things like case studies, white papers, top 10 lists, things like that. And finally, action. Well, that can be all manner of things. But each one of these stages is tied to different states of mind in the buying process and the prospect, and you'll see it on the actual matrix grid. So that's really what I wanted to just sort of quickly gloss over, as they say. I'm just looking for my, here it is. I'll give you a quick idea of how that all fits together. Now, the reason that's important is because why is always more important than how. How is easy. There's a ton of things to learn how to do something. And the question really you need to be asking yourself regularly is, why am I doing it? And I don't want to belabor the point, but as I like to say, strategy is eternal, tactics are eternally changing.